Hey, it's your old pal Lucid Stu again. In this video, we're going to revisit and update what's going on with the Brightline West high-speed rail project, but this time rendered in 3D using Unreal Engine 5. Brightline West will run between Rancho Cucamonga, California and just south of Las Vegas, Nevada. We're going to cover the route from southwest to northeast, starting in Rancho Cucamonga. Rancho Cucamonga is a city of 175,000, about 40 miles east of downtown Los Angeles. It lies within the Inland Empire region of Southern California, which is home to 4.4 million people. The IE is part of Greater Los Angeles, inhabited by 12 million. The Rancho Cucamonga station will be located at the current 8th Street station, which is being converted into a transit hub. So Brightline West will hook up with Metrolink, which is Southern California's regional rail carrier. It will also connect with regular bus and bus rapid transit services thanks to Omnitrans. The Brightline West station will be elevated next to the Metrolink station and will include a mammoth parking garage. Though not ideal, this will be necessary due to tourist traffic. The area immediately around the station is planned for mixed use, however. As you can see, coming out of the station, most of the rest of the surrounding area is populated by warehouses and light industrial, and will probably stay that way for the foreseeable future. The first 3/4 of a mile will be slow speed and elevated between the Metrolink tracks and 8th Street until the train is able to join the Interstate 15 right-of-way in an approximately 500-foot radius curve. This 8th Street viaduct will be one of the larger infrastructure pieces on the project. The first 5 miles out of the Rancho station will be double-tracked to facilitate trains departing and arriving in similar time frames. Initially, the large majority of this project will be single-tracked. Brightline West is initially planning on hourly trains with a trip taking slightly more than 2 hours. This means there should be a maximum of 3 trains running in either direction at any given time. The route will travel on the west side of Interstate 15 for a mile here in order to avoid a large power transmission line path, and then will rise up on the next large structure, a viaduct, crossing over the Interstate 15 southbound lanes at Foothill Boulevard in order to transition into the Freeway median. My renders are based on 30% design technical drawings within the environmental assessments and also renders provided by Brightline West in those assessments. They are not exact and specification may change when moving to 100% design status, but what is presented in this video should give you a pretty good idea of what to expect. Once in the median, we will pass the local outdoor world and start moving out of the Rancho Cucamonga area. Double tracking will end 2 miles to the northeast here at the Interstate 15 State Route 210 Freeway interchange. This interchange would seem to complicate things, but the plan with areas like this is to wedge the tracks into the existing median and then widen the freeway lanes if necessary. So here the tracks will simply be navigating around the current structures as shown. The train will be separated from traffic by a 4-foot high concrete barrier in most places. This stretch of track is the first where the train will have an opportunity to accelerate appreciably. I have the train traveling 125 miles per hour here, although they may run as fast as 140 miles per hour according to the environmental assessment. Things are running uphill here as the route approaches the mountains. The grade along this portion is about 2%, getting progressively steeper as it ascends, until reaching Lido Creek 2 miles further northeast. 2 miles beyond Lido Creek, the route will reach the Cajon Wash, BNSF, and UP tracks, the Interstate 15, Interstate 215 junction, and enter the Cajon Pass all at the same time. I have speed at 60 miles per hour here thanks to this curve with a radius of about 2,200 feet. This will combine with a 4.2% grade and windy geometry on this initial climb to likely keep trains under 75 miles per hour through this entire stretch. Cajon Pass is broken up into two climbing/descending sections and a relatively level section between. If you'd like to see a brief visualization of that more level area, check out the link in the card and the description. As a companion for this video, you can use two driving videos I did of the route last year. Those are Freeway view of the vast majority of the 218 miles and some ground level footage of the Rancho Cucamonga, Victor Valley, and Las Vegas area station sites. Links in the card above and also in the description. One feature of the pass area here is that the freeway is built on the side of a mountain. This means that the southbound lanes are further down the hillside in this area. This could lead to retaining walls as high as 25 feet above the southbound lanes in support of the Brightline West track here. 7 miles further up the pass, we'll reach one of Brightline West's biggest question marks. The freeway grade out of the north end of the pass reaches the interstate maximum of 6%, and according to the technical drawings, they're not planning to do much of anything to cut that down. The fact that Siemens and Alstom are vying for the train set contract would indicate that they are both confident that their products can handle this grade. The real question is how slow will they need to go here to make it work in service. I have the train being able to approach this area at 75 miles per hour from the south due to the geometry of the freeway. I'm hypothesizing that they may aim to simply maintain that through this climb. On the way down might be a different story. In this area, the north and southbound lanes of the freeway separate due to the grade. Brightline West will parallel the northbound lanes through here. The tracks will be elevated to facilitate California Highway Patrol crossovers in the area and also to deal with the significant freeway cuts. This elevation will continue all the way out of the pass. Some existing CHP crossovers will need to be altered to pass over the freeway. That was the first of two overpasses that will be built by Brightline West in order to facilitate the CHP continuing that function with the tracks in place. Here you can get a sense of the enormity of this project and just how long that very steep grade will continue. You also get a good look at the separation of the two sides of the freeway through this area. The area is usually dry, but there is some beautiful scenery to be had here, including Mount San Antonio, aka Mount Baldy. It should be very enjoyable looking out the windows of this high-speed train as long as you're not afraid of heights. Eventually, we'll reach Cajon Summit at 4,200 feet and exit Cajon Pass after climbing 2,100 feet over 12 miles. The route, however, still faces significant grades in the 2% range as it descends from the mountains toward the Mojave River. In between is our first stop at Hesperia. This station is located in the freeway median within the massive junction of Interstate 15 and US 395. The station will include an island platform and a small parking lot to the south. Double tracking will begin about a mile to the southwest of the station. This is a commuter station being built at the behest of San Bernardino County. Northbound trains will skip this stop in the morning, and southbound trains will do likewise in the evening. Access to the station will be from the Joshua Street overpass, which will be rebuilt for the project. To facilitate the parking lot, Brightline West will be moving the freeway on-ramp for Joshua Street to the west about 300 feet. The median in this area is only about 50 feet wide, so they'll probably need to expand the freeway slightly around the extent of the station. Wall height around the median stations isn't specified in the environmental assessment, but in the Brightline West renders they appear adequate to shield awaiting passengers from most traffic noise. After leaving the station, a train would continue on double tracking for another 5 miles to Bear Valley Road before the route again condenses to a single track while traversing Victorville a distance of 5 miles at approximately 80 miles per hour. We're now on the north end of Victorville, and the route will descend along a 4% grade over BNSF tracks in order to cross the Mojave River. I have our train here at 90 miles per hour. The crossings will be elevated above the roadway slightly to smooth grade changes. The tracks will still be in the freeway median, and new bridges will need to be built to accommodate the train. The median is only 20 feet wide here, so the freeway will need to be widened, which means additional bridge work for that. As a result, the E and D Street intersection will also need to be reconfigured. We can see the amount of work Brightline West will need to perform stacking up rapidly as we cross the Mojave River and head toward the proposed Victor Valley Station on the other side. Another 4 miles to the northeast, we're back on double track just south of the Victor Valley Station site, and we run into another potential large structure. Here the tracks would rise up onto a dramatic half-mile long viaduct to get over tracks connecting a large cement plant and quarry owned by Cemex. The environmental assessment does mention the possibility that Brightline West might be able to stay in the median near ground level, and talks Cemex into flying their tracks over in a slightly less ostentatious structure. One positive of the intersection is that it gives Brightline West easy access to train loads of cement. We're now near the southern extent of the 300 acres that Brightline West owns on the east side of Interstate 15 at its station site near the intersection with Dale Evans Parkway. On that land, they plan to place a maintenance of way facility. Size and location of this facility is speculative on my part. The environmental assessment plans do, however, indicate that Brightline West will need to raise the northbound side of the freeway up 20 feet in this area in order for their spur line to get out of the median and to their maintenance of way facility. The station platforms will be in the freeway median, with the northbound lanes being moved 50 feet to the east in order to facilitate that. The total length of freeway that will need to be reworked here is about a mile long. The station building will be located just east of the freeway and will be connected to the platform via a subterranean walkway. Brightline West hasn't yet revealed what their plans are for the rest of this extensive site. Like Hesperia, this station will utilize an island platform. Unlike Hesperia, this will be a full-service station, so all scheduled north and southbound trains will stop here. This station is about 6 miles from populated parts of Victorville and Apple Valley, which are the closest municipalities, so it's definitely a park and ride type station. However, strangely, station renders so far have showed pretty minimal parking. Leaving the station and heading toward Barstow. The assessments do not indicate the length of double tracking out of the north end of the Victor Valley Station, but if the paradigm holds, it would be a couple of miles. Now in Barstow, and in another steep descent toward the Mojave River, and maybe the most impressive structure in the project. Here the track will rise up on an approximately 2-mile long viaduct to cross over 4 streets and the BNSF Needles subdivision. As we marvel at this potential massive structure, let's talk about the project. Brightline West claims they will build all of the structures we've seen, about 250 miles of track and more, for $12 billion before the 2028 Los Angeles Summer Olympics. Thanks to a recent $3 billion federal-state partnership for intercity passenger rail grant and $3.5 billion in bond approvals, Brightline West has so far identified the source of half of their funding goal. But can this all actually be built for $12 billion? That's another big question mark for the project. And another one, Can they pull it all off in 4 years? They're planning to lay all of the track in 1 year, which means 218 miles of right-of-way needs to be prepped, and all of these grandiose structures need to be built in 3 years. However, if they can pull it off, or even come close, Brightline has the potential to hugely shift the paradigm of how we think about high-speed rail in the US and the timescales on which we expect it can be built. Moving out of Barstow, we'll jump 14 miles to our next section just east of Yermo, California. As mentioned, Brightline West will need several double-track sections. We've already covered 3. I've surmised they'll space these roughly 30 to 40 miles apart, so I think this area will likely have 2 tracks. This area also stands out because it is the first area of the route from the south that could potentially reach the project's stated top speed of 200 miles per hour. Considering curves and acceleration, you might be looking at 10 to 12 miles of 200 mile per hour travel here. From there, we'll jump ahead another 30 miles through a slower speed section plagued by tighter curve radii and steep grades. You're probably looking at 90 miles per hour or less through most of that. As we approach Baker, California from the south, I think this would be another opportunity for a double-tracked section. Considering curves in Baker proper, I have speed in this area at 110 to 125 miles per hour. Baker is a roadside service town of less than 1,000 people, but it's important because it's the only thing that resembles civilization on Interstate 15 between Barstow and the state line, which is a 110-mile stretch. On the right side of the train, here is Soda Lake, which normally acts as the terminus of the Mojave River, but it's also usually dry. Fun fact, many thousands of years ago, water flowing through here would have ended up in Death Valley. Nowadays, you only get water on the surface in wet years, but it does happen. In Baker, the route crosses the Mojave River one last time between Soda Lake and the very rarely wet Silver Lake. However, it is a necessary crossing. Though it is quite rare, I have seen water on the surface here myself. This bridge might be a bit fanciful, the actual crossing may simply be concrete like the freeway. Looking northeast from Baker, the route faces the Halloran grade, which quickly progresses to 4.4% in the span of 9 miles, before easing up as it reaches Halloran Summit at just over 4,000 feet in elevation. On the other side of Halloran Summit is Shadow Valley, which represents another possible top speed stretch. The grade from Halloran Summit to the east is relaxed relative to the climb up. Though this valley is not very wide, it's also not terribly steep on either end. The interstate takes a straight shot across, and geometry remains amenable enough to support perhaps another 10 to 12 miles of 200 mile per hour travel when considering acceleration. The train will pass the Valley Wells rest stop, which could become a great place to watch for the train. However, with the initial 1 hour headways, you would need to be there at the right time or be prepared to wait a bit. You also occasionally get traffic out of there on the way back from Southern California, which could make for great advertising. Once past the rest stop, the route heads up to Mountain Pass, which is the last major pass the train would encounter at nearly 4,700 feet. It will be slow going there for about 8 miles before the route would emerge from the mountains for good and let out into the Ivanpah dry lake bed. Like the aforementioned Soda and Silver Lakes, this is a rarely wet area, but it would be spectacular to cross in a train at high speed when it's flooded. The interstate crosses the lake bed on a high berm, which is all that is necessary as it only floods to a few feet in depth. Here we'll also pass the unexpected Prim Valley Golf Club, which is attached to the Prim Nevada Resorts at the state line between California and Nevada. We're also passing the famous and infamous Ivanpah solar plants. Brightline West will connect to these through a planned substation. This will allow Brightline West to pull power directly from generators driven by steam that is made by molten salt, heated up by the world's largest bird cooker. I have the train at 150 miles per hour here due to a tighter curve in Prim, but between here and just outside of the Las Vegas area will be the flattest and fastest portion of the entire route. I also have this double tracked, as this area is 35 miles from the Vegas area station and 45 miles from Baker, California. I figure the train will likely cruise at 200 miles per hour for around 20 to 24 miles. The route will also pass directly next to the site of a planned secondary relief airport in Jean, Nevada, near the former Terrible's Casino. That may make for an additional Brightline West station at some point in the future. However, at Sloan, we will slow to 125 miles per hour and reach the location of Brightline West's main maintenance base. Here, Brightline West is planning a loopy connection to the nearby UP right-of-way, a vehicle maintenance facility, staging tracks, and an operations control center. So basically, their whole operation, aside from the maintenance of way facility in Victor Valley and the 4 stations. Like Victor Valley, they will need to elevate one side of the freeway to get their trains out of the median and into the facility. This time it's the southbound side. I also have this double tracked. That is not supported by documentation, but the last 6 miles into the Vegas station are single tracked, and this is about 25 miles from the possible double tracked section near State Line. Then we round the great curve on Interstate 15 into the Las Vegas area. Unfortunately, you won't get this view peering out the side. Up ahead is the ramp the train will use to transition from the median to the east side of the freeway. From there, it's another 4 miles along a narrow easement next to the freeway with construction similar to what Brightline experienced in Florida along State Route 528. Here, we're just north of Silverado Ranch Boulevard and South Point Hotel and Casino. You can see there is just enough room to wedge a single track and catenary into this space between existing development and the freeway lanes. According to the NEPA reevaluation, freeway lanes may need to be slightly rejiggered, but for the most part, this looks straightforward. This right here is One Las Vegas, a large condo development 3/4 of a mile from the Brightline West Vegas area station. And here we see a key feature of the route, connecting Outdoor World in Vegas with its Rancho Cucamonga counterpart. That is at the Silverton Casino, which will be the closest existing resort to the station site. However, properties on either side of the station are undeveloped, and these are all on Las Vegas Boulevard, i.e. the Strip. Granted, the station is about 3 miles from the Mandalay Bay Resort, which is the far southern end of the Strip proper. Allegiant Stadium, home of the Raiders, is also about 3 miles distant. Harry Reid International Airport is about a 3.5 mile drive. The middle of the Strip and UNLV are about 5 miles off, and downtown Las Vegas is 9 miles to the north. As you can see, the station will consume only a portion of the overall site, with many development opportunities for Brightline West. No word yet on what their plans are. I just threw in some placeholder buildings like the official renders. They have 110 acres total to work with here, and they are across the street from the Las Vegas South Premium Outlets, which is a major shopping venue. So there you have a rendered overview of the Brightline West route. I hope it gave you a good idea of what is planned and what to expect. More videos like this are coming, and I plan to continue to improve their scope and quality. So please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you would like to see more videos like this. And of course, leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of the video, the route, Brightline West, high-speed rail, or just the direction of the channel in general. I have lots more videos to come, and I'm more excited about the future of the channel than ever. But that's all for now. Until next time, I'll see you on that big beautiful freeway.